You go, girl.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Good
morning.
So the theme for the talks is Ocean of Inspiration. And my title is Turning Science of Mind Upside Down. Seeing is believing, right? I'm going to start with a little reading from How to Use Science of Mind. It's by Ernest Holmes. So I invite you just to relax and be open to hearing the words. We are, in our outside world, a result of the subjective state of our thought. The acquired subjective and perhaps largely unconscious thought patterns which we entertain are continually impinging upon our environment, attracting and repelling without our conscious awareness. The subconscious content of one's thought determines what's going to happen to him. It seems to be the medium between the absolute and the relative in our experience. In such degree as we re-educate our habitual thought patterns, they will automatically react in accord with a mechanical mental law, a law of reflection. Jesus made repeated references to the action of this law. He said, Thy faith hath made thee whole. Do you believe this can be done? If you do, it can. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass until all be fulfilled. Jesus did not reverse the laws of nature. He reversed the common use of them. He was not merely a man who had great faith. He used his faith in a positive rather than a negative way. His faith in good was equal to the average man's faith in evil. It was not a different faith. It was a different use of faith. A practitioner of spiritual mind healing is continually confronted with the fog of fear, superstition, and doubt. Otherwise, there would be no occasion for his practice. He will either get lost in the fog or see through it. Though the fog is there, the sun is always shining. This is what he clings to. He declares that the sun is shining and that the fog is dissipated. This is his act of faith, his compliance with the law, his surrender to appearances to a greater certainty in his own consciousness. It is necessary for the practitioner to withdraw his thought from things as they appear to be and to think independently of any and all existing conditions. No one can hope successfully to practice this science unless he is able and willing to do this. If his mind dwelt only on things as they appear to be, he would never demonstrate beyond that appearance. And so just in this state, in this place of awareness, I'm just going to ask you to just, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes for a moment with me. Take a deep breath, let it go. And in your mind's eye, I want you to go to the most beautiful body of water you can go to. Perhaps it's the very ocean that we are floating on. And let your mind be there. Look around. Engage in your senses. Be aware of what you see. Be aware of what you smell. Be aware of what you hear. And to be aware of what you feel. So as you come back into the room, if your experience was anything like my experience, You saw beauty. Perhaps you felt the warmth of the sun, or you heard the water splashing hither and there. You saw something very definite. You saw what you saw. And so if we take that template and lay it atop of science of mind and what we believe, and we believe that it starts with belief, and then you will see. You have a thought, you have a thing. But in this situation, this scenario, we're going to deal with what we see, and we're going to lay it atop of that as we turn science of mind upside down. In that, I believe that seeing has some points, some things to offer us. When we think about the experience we just had, what we know then is that seeing a thing causes us to view it just as it is. It gives us an opportunity to lay it all out. I see the sun, I see the trees, I see the greenness, I see the blue in the water. You see, we need that in our life in this teaching. We need to be very clear when life happens for us that we're laying it all out. That we're laying it all out in our life. The other thing that this template offers us is it offers us an opportunity to engage in imagination. You get to imagine what might be. You look at the vastness of the ocean, and you might get inspired, as I do when I look at the ocean and its vastness and its seemingly unendingness, what might be possible in my life. You see, I need to see that. I need to talk to people who share their experiences with me. I need to be around people who's open to sharing who they are. I need that. We need that. We all find ourselves in that place sometimes where we are in the midst of seeing and believing. Like I said, it has some very definite purposes for us. What we also need to know is, in unfolding of this picture, we have what we see, but we also need to realize that it's from a limited perspective. That seeing and believing is based on our experiences and our limited perspective of our experiences. What I have come to see is perhaps what somebody else has done, a limited perspective. You know, but I don't want you to lose the point here just yet, because it's important. It's important for us when we are in that pool of seeing and believing, because it gives us some inspiration. I remember the first time in my life when I started to attend Science of Mind churches, and at the time I was in a relationship. And I went to the services and I listened to the minister, and I would barely engage with people, but I did some engaging, and they would share their stories with me. And suddenly I got inspired. I suddenly had the courage to do what I needed to do. And so in the relationship, it got to the point in time where it was time where it needed to end. Things weren't quite going right. There were some things missing. Intimacy. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna keep it real. The sex was missing. Needed to end at 28, sexless. It needed to end. But on a serious note, what I realized was that in that moment, I had, because of my seeing and hearing and engaging with others, I had enveloped and developed the courage within me to end the relationship. And what I'm certain of now, what I'm clear of now, is that it was a conscious choice. It was a very conscious choice. In the past, ending relationships, that conscious piece had been missing, had been lacking. So it's very conscious. So it has its place in who we are and what we are doing. But like I said, in this space though, however, we also need to know that it can be doused with fear and worry and doubt. Because when we are in this realm and engaging in what might be possible, where I said our imagination gets turned on, our imagination in that space and in that place is linked up and hooked up to imitation. The mind is in the process of creating an image based on our experiences and our limited perspective of our experiences. That's what's happening when we are in the cesspool of seeing and believing. It's based on something that's not real. It's false. It's an imitation of what's real. That's what's happening there. Where we are imagining something to be real that's not. Fear, worry, doubt, separation. That's what's happening in that realm. It might cause you to believe that there is no way, that the road remains crooked, that there's no hill to get over. It's just bad. You know, it's fleeting. In that scenario, when I asked you to imagine the ocean, you know, you're in one spot and then in 5 minutes you're in another spot. So what you saw, you no longer see. It's fleeting. But I want to take you to another side. I want to turn side to my right side up again and move us back into that pool, into that place, into that space, into that area where believing and then seeing. What we didn't talk about, or what I didn't talk about, is what we didn't see. When I invited you to close your eyes and imagine the ocean, I didn't talk about everything that's happening underneath the ocean and what's happening in the sky and what part the sun plays in keeping the ocean and maintaining the ocean and sustaining the ocean. I don't know. I don't know the depth and how deep the ocean goes, but it's pretty substantial. It's pretty mighty. Doing all the work that is to simply keeping the ocean at being its highest and its best. And that's true for us. There is this that is keeping us, that is doing all the work that will allow us to believe, have a thought, and then to experience it in our life. Believing and seeing. That's where we're going. That's how we're turning this right side up. So there's things that we are unaware of. It's similar to in Science of Mind, where we talk a lot about the planting of the seeds. We liken that to a thought. You have a seed, you have a thought, you plant it, and then you let it go. You do some plucking here and there of the weeds that might come up, you water it, you shower it with love, but really what's happening underneath, we're unaware of. We just know for sure that when we plant a carrot seed, we're going to get a carrot. We don't doubt it. It's the same, I would imagine, with the ocean. The top part of the ocean, or everything that you see, it's not doubting what's happening underneath. It's just doing what it's supposed to be doing. And voila. I mean, to the tune that it can hold a massive, massive piece of steel with 4,000 people on it to get us from here to there. To me, wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. And that's the same for us. It's the same thing that's happening in our life. The thing that's different from the last scenario is that here we find possibility still. We find our imagination being turned on. But in this case, our imagination is not hooked up to imitation. We have an imagination that's hooked up with creation, where God is, where everything is possible, where the possibilities are infinite and abound. That's where we are. In a place, in a space, where everything is possible, where inspiration is happening again and again and again. It's not fleeting, it's real, it's forever. Love, joy, peace, happiness. We also see in this scenario everything that has come together to support this ocean, this body of ocean. It's true for us. Everything conspiring, all people that's here loving us and supporting us, the ones we know and the ones we don't know. That's what's happening in our life. We have to know that. We have to see that. We have to embrace it. So an imagination that's hooked up with creation rather than imitation, we are simply releasing and letting go of our perspective, our experiences, and our limited perspective on our experiences, and being invited to engage in an experience that is beyond imagination. You can't even imagine what might happen in your life. Can't even imagine in this space, it will propel you into having a life that you just simply can't imagine. I know in my own life, when I was a young girl, I was molested, and I don't need to tell you the details of it because it doesn't matter. But what I can tell you is that when my imagination linked up with creation, it propelled me into a place and a space of forgiveness, not just for them, but for myself. It propelled me into a place and a space of understanding and wisdom, in a place where there's only love. There is only love. So, in turning science and mind upside down, we know that there is that place and that space where we oftentimes might dwell, and we pull out what we need there. We need that sometimes. But when we move beyond that and stand in who we are and what we represent, believing and then seeing. Oh, the joy. Turn within with me in this moment, where we realize there's only one life, one mind, one power, one presence, and one essence. By whatever name you call it. I know in this moment that we are one with it, forever and ever. That its life is my life, and my life is its life. And so from this high level of awareness, then I'm just simply knowing for each of us that our life is filled with inspiration and imagination that takes us beyond the beyond. Where we know we are supported by that which lies underneath, and that it is grand, that it is vast, that it is enough. So let us in this moment be bold enough to believe and see the very thing in this moment that our heart desires, that's linked into creation, that is God's idea flowing through us as our life. And this moment, that is my prayer, my declaration for each one of us, that be our life. Remembering that we are supported by the universe and the face of God each time we see each other, knowing that we're supported. Nothing missing, nothing lacking in our world, in our life. All is perfect. And so for this, I am grateful. I give great thanks for the support, for the face of God, for that which is underneath, that makes the way straight, that shineth the light for our clarity, our seeing, our knowing, our doing, and our being. I am grateful for this ocean of inspiration, that it is with ease and grace that I simply let these words go, knowing that it is so right here, right now, in this moment. I let it be, and ask that you just simply join me in anchoring by saying, and so
it is.